Hello there, and as usual, I'm Aaron from Laststandgamers, and welcome. So today we're taking a look at another amazing ship from the Steam Workshop. Now this is a super drone carrier. This is called the Admiral Kuznetsov? Oh, I hope that's correct. Anyway, Hombre has come to the table with another one of his beautifully designed ships. And of course, this one is sporting a Russian flag and a lovely Russian army symbol as well. So we'll take a look around this design, we'll have a start on the interior, and then we'll pop on inside and see what this ship offers. Now, of course, we've got this lovely olivey sort of ranger green type colour on the outer, and then we've got a combination of grey, and we'll have a quick look around this guy. So first off, let's have a look at the front area. So when I first had a look here, I've noticed that there is two hangar bays, and I looked a little bit closer and I was like, how exactly are these open? And right here we actually have a rotor, so these lights all light up. I'll show you very shortly, and these doors open up and you can launch the drone straight out to the belly. Now, something I want you to pay attention to as we're looking around this design is in fact the amount of spaced armor that's actually going on. This is not just a looks thing, this is actually very, very functional. And by using this, players can actually absorb a lot of missile and warhead hits, especially to the main deck here. That is crucial to survival of this carrier. Hopefully it'd still be in the rear anyway. So let's have a look at that in a little bit more detail around this front segment. So first off, we have ourselves 4 Gatling guns on either side to offer a little bit of protection in the front area, and of course they're mounted on an angled plate, so you can see all the ingenious behind that there with that rotor. Really cool indeed. Now on the angled plate, that is actually a staggered piece of armor protecting the main deck. Now of course Hombre's prepared himself here. He thought the front area was going to be targeted quite heavily, and most ships do tend to take a battle in on the front, so we've got the spaced armor and that double layer of thickness here. Really quite useful for the defense of this ship. Now coming down underneath, you'll notice we have the main thrust pack. So this ship is very, very capable of going into atmosphere and surviving, pretty much traveling around wherever you want it. Underneath here, there's a few things that draw my attention. First off, I thought this was some sort of drop pod. In fact, it is a landing gear leg with a little pod with a connector on the end of it. The other little pods down here have been color coded. We've got these little tanks that drop down from the bottom. We've got like a large storage container here with 2 connectors and then a bit of reinforced armor around the bottom of it. Really nice, and that all wraps down into this rear area here that we'll take a little bit of a look at in a moment's time. So now that we've seen the front, we've seen some of these diagonal patterns. If I turn the light off here, you can see how the armor creates a real nice contrast between that grey and green texture. If the Russian army went to space and they did build themselves a carrier, this would be very, very useful to them. So in this side, we've got these armored pieces that roll around and protect a little bit of the main deck here itself. We've got that black and green contrast, and we've got more of the spacing of armor to protect ships, especially when they're vulnerable coming up on the ramps here. So you can see the armor wraps around to the lower section, and then you've got the thruster housing like we discussed before, but there is some small thrusters tucked along the side, so we can drift this ship to the left and right if need be, and you'll be surprised at its maneuverability when we get to that point. So as we head onto the main deck itself, you can see we've got a very large runway. Not that we'll need that for taking off from space, but if we're doing more traditional aerodynamic type ships, this is definitely going to be needed. Now if we have a look here, we've got the build of the actual cockpit sort of control center. You'll notice they've got the green housing up there on top with a nice little bit of spacing up there to protect it from explosions and warheads. Up on the top deck, we'll have a look at in a bit more detail, but we've got the main command center for the ship. Going down, we've got the various different drone command centers on each of the decks. Just look at that little bit of glass and interior there. It looks very protective, very bunker-esque. Now moving into this area, once again, we've got the overhanging protective armor. We've got a little bit of a searchlight that tracks back and forth, and we have 2 larger hangar bay access, maybe for larger ships or maintenance type vehicles. And up above here, we actually have a little bit of a communications array. I'm guessing that's what it's supposed to be, but you can see the detailing. We've got the interior blocks at the back there. And as we bring that forward, we've actually got these large white sort of buoys, and then we've actually got these pillars. Oh, really cool. I like it when people do like in-depth detail sort of communication arrays. It's very spacey, let's say. Everyone's got a communication array. So coming along the side, we've actually got ourselves another star and another Russian emblem. And as we come down here, we've got some nice bit of venting and a bit more spaced armor detail and design. And we've got the first of some large side thrusters here in this area. Now, as we wrap ourselves underneath, I originally thought this was going to be some sort of hangar bay, but you can just see the detail in each one of these struts that's been worked into this design. Hombre must have spent a lot of time under here working this out and just making it feel like a venting area. And of course, to protect that, we've got ourselves some Gatling gun turrets here. It's not super well armed, this ship, as you'll see as we're going through, but it's got enough just to fend off the odd ship, and if it's protected by a fleet, it should be absolutely fine. Now we're moving on to my favourite part of this design, and it's the thruster pack. First off, let's just have a look at the housing. So we've got the two-tone grey and then a darker grey shade with the hydrogen thruster tucked in the centre really nicely. And then we've got the spaced armour around the outside, adding extra protection. Now I like how this bit kind of wraps on the side. It has the same sort of grey bit that part of the armour does there, and then it leads up around the side and adds protection over the top, as well as these cool little vents that I'm sure would allow the engines that are very powerful to cool over time. Now you got a little bit of a sneak peek of the hangar bay up top, but we won't look at that just at the moment. I wanted to show you this area in here. Just look at the detailing of the pipes that they've put in here. You can see how the metal armor's wrapped around in that section, almost like the hydrogen is being transported directly through it. That it is. So you can see the conveyors there, and these lead out to this rear thrust pack. Now look at that for a thrust pack. We've of course got the overhang at the top there to add a little bit of protection. We have a total of 9 thrusters in the middle, and then we've got another 2 on the cells on either side. Oh, just look at that cell design though. Come on, you've got to appreciate an engine bay cell, haven't you? Anyway, let's go back onto the top. So onto the top we've got some more hydrogen thrusters, almost like exhaust stacks, to give us a little bit of downward thrust, a little bit protected as well there. I like how it's kind of staggered up in design. 2 more Gatling turrets on either side up here, and then we've got the hangar bay up top. Probably one of the vulnerable areas. If you were going to launch a gravity bomb, you'd try to send it through that hole and blow up that main hangar. Very cool indeed. So let's take a step inside. We've seen the exterior, we've seen the detail, and it is very vast. But if we start ourselves right here at the front and walk away through the main deck, you can just kind of get the scale of this ship. Now, of course, we can access this through the lower sort of ramp area there, or we can access it through here. So we've got this main ramp. I'm actually here with my character itself. And if I hit the ramp, we go between the various floors on this deck. Now on this deck, that's pretty cool, is we've got this little access bay to the engine area here. A lot of the internals on this ship are inaccessible, but through here we can maintain what we need. So in terms of power and hydrogen and production, we have got access through it here. We can fix up the reactor there as well. A nice little red ambient lighting. There's also something I've noticed with this ship. When I seem to be in this area, I get a lot of frame drops all of a sudden. I'm not too sure what exactly is going on. But now we're at the bottom hangar area, we've actually got a projector, and this shows the design of this special Russian fighter drone. So it's got quite a typical drone sort of shaped head. It reminds me of like a Predator drone at the front there, and then we've got these weird swept designs, and these are actually designed for space. So these are not the fighters you want to take down to a planet, but still pretty cool indeed. And you can see it's got these lower wing segments there that need to be built separately and then attached. So if we actually go to this here, and you can see we can turn the projector on and off, but we really need some welding vehicles to sort that out. Now in this hangar bay we've got a lot of detailing going on. Of course we've got these ribbed segments going all the way up to the vehicle ramps. We've got a ramp here as well, so a vehicle can get down here, and we've got the fighters themselves here. So these fighters are armed with 4 Gatling guns up in the nose here, the iron thrusters that are not too bad, and then we've got the camera that actually looks directly through into this little speedometer, you could say. And you see that we've got that lighting effect going above. That's coming through the ceiling, and it's actually a cool little spotlight that's placed above. So we've also got access to the various lift bays here. The light comes on, the lift comes down, and you can load up whatever fighter or welder ship you need. Really cool indeed. Loads of fighters lined up along here, and we've got the 2 hangar bays up at the front for a quick launch. Real awesome. Anyway, let's have a look at the next deck. So as we come up here, you've noticed that we've got Bobr, Bobr2, I believe it is. These have got these little welding type devices on the pistons, so these could be used to weld up the fighters and ships. And as we come up to this next deck, we'll actually have access to the bridge. So if we pop this door open through here, here is the drone command center. Now from what I can tell, this is 3 decks of seats just to control all the drone fighters in this thing. This would be a busy place if it ever saw some action. There'd be people in every one of these seats. You'd be looking out the window, seeing the drones launch, various flights in and out. Real cool indeed. And you've got the blueprint of the ship there, hovering above this little waiting area, as well as a med bay there as well. Pretty damn cool. So as we come up the flights of stairs, we've got the more of the drone command rooms, and hidden away right here, I actually missed this the first time, is access up to the main bridge. And if you're an attacker and you didn't manage to get aboard, you might miss it yourself. So back here we've actually got crew quarters. The crew quarters are quite scarce. You've got a few lockers, and then we've got a little observation room, and it wraps around to various different quarters. So it's labelled so you won't get lost, but there's basically a lot of bunk beds here that the crew members can sleep in if they need to, or log off if they're on a multiplayer server. So as we come back through this area and we head over to the bridge, we walk down this really quite intimidating catwalk with the seats at either side, maybe controlling drones, or maybe this deck is purely for control of the ship. And what we've actually got here is a small ship that's been merged with a large ship, and this is so it can have more control, more details. And one of these monitors is actually hinged there, so you can see it from your control seat. So if I access this control seat, I can see everything I need. I can see damage to the ship, I can see the hull integrity on the right. So there's a few scripts running here, and I've also got access to all the controls that are labelled, and labelling controls like this helps out tenfold. So we'll go through them. So first off, we've got the front hangar. Now prepare to see this thing open. It is awesome. I'm going to get the camera over there so we can see it in a little bit more detail. There we go. You see the lights open up. We've got a red and green, so maybe you could have an in and out or something like that, but they open up to the side, and there the fighters are revealed. Really cool indeed. So next up, we've actually got a piston. Now this piston opens the top hangar bay door. So this is this one. So I press this, it opens up very simply, giving access to the various decks in the rear. So a ship could lower itself in or raise itself out if you need to. We can seal that back up, add some protection. And then we've got ourselves, of course, the flight elevators that are on the main deck. So as we check through these, we've got 1 raising up. We've got 5 racing up there, so we can access everything we need from that control room up there. So players on the ground could be loading ships, doing stuff, and we can be helping them out from the control room, and we're not completely useless. So we've got another piston here. Now this is the vehicle elevator, so this is the elevator inside. So let's just access that. There we go. We've already taken a little bit of a ride on that one, so the vehicles can go up and down, repair different things on different floors. And then we have the next menu. So the next menu only has a 1, and this is the alarm. So of course the alarm goes off, this triggers all the pilots, everyone's rushing to their various control seats on the different decks. They're manning up on the fighters, and they're launching. That's what I'm guessing the alarm's there for, unless someone's managed to breach into the ship. The rest of them are just remote controls and jump drive controls there as well. So if we actually access 1, we can automatically control our little welder drones that are down here below. So let's see if we can access and drive that about. There we go. So we've got control of the right one. We just need to disconnect from the actual base itself. That's easier said than done. So there we go. We've got access to the welders from there. We've got access to the cameras. We can also turn off the little warning lights as we move around. Really cool indeed. So up on the next one, we've got our connector, so we can disconnect that. And of course, we're in. Oh, we've got a little bit of roll here. I may have hit something I shouldn't have. I think that was number 4. Yeah, let's see if we can raise that back up. Okay, so there's not enough gravity actually holding these rovers down to make them usable in this space environment. But let's do a final test. Let's see what our thrust is like in this place. Hopefully that ship doesn't rip us apart. That Bob too. So from this, we've got good acceleration because of the hydrogen tanks. We've got an average deceleration purely because we're relying on the thrusters up at the front there and the 2 in each of the cells. So it could be a vulnerability if they get taken out. We've got a really good roll, and our gyroscopic movement is great for a ship of this size. We can maneuver and turn as easy as we want. A lot of ships this size tend to have issues with turning, and I really don't like that. In Space Engineers, if you're in a fight, you need to be able to maneuver or outmaneuver your adversary so you don't expose some of your weaker areas. Anyway, let's wrap that up there. So let's activate our jump drive to finish this off. So I'd like you to comment in the section below and let me know what you think of this ship. Do you think it's functional? What additions would you make to it? And if you like the look of this, there'll be a link down to it in the description below where you can check it out for yourself. Anyway, I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.